Welcome back to Poorly Educated Today in the News, where the headlines are confusing, the experts are arguing, and somehow the guy with the excavator thinks he's solving nuclear physics like he's digging a koi pond behind a Cracker Barrel. We got global tension thicker than gravy left on the stove too long, gas prices creeping like raccoons toward your trash can, and politicians out here acting like the world is just one big Facebook comment section. Today's news ain't just messy. It's full-on garage sale in a tornado messy. And we're gonna try to sort through it without stepping on anything radioactive. Segment 1. Hormuz and the world's most expensive traffic jam. You ever see two pickup trucks meet on a one-lane dirt road and neither one wants to back up? That's basically what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz right now. Except instead of mud on the tires, we got 20% of the world's oil stuck in the middle like a wedged biscuit. Iran shut the gate, the US parked the boat, and now the global economy is pacing around like a dad staring at a thermostat that just jumped 10 degrees. Oil markets are bouncing around like a Walmart shopping cart with one bad wheel, and everybody's pretending this is normal behavior. One day, oil prices drop faster than a cousin at a family reunion after 2 beers. The next day, they spike so high, your gas pump starts asking if you'd like to finance the purchase. The world economy apparently runs on vibes, diesel, and people yelling at each other through binoculars. The grounded truth underneath all this chaos is that when a narrow waterway becomes the choke point for global energy, suddenly every argument sounds like a bar fight between two guys holding extension cords. Nobody wants to unplug first, but everybody's starting to smell smoke. Segment 2. Excavators versus nuclear physics. Now, somewhere in the middle of this geopolitical mess, somebody decided the solution to nuclear tensions is apparently a construction project. That's right. We got a plan involving digging up uranium like it's buried treasure next to Grandma's old garden gnome. I don't know about y'all, but when the phrase nuclear dust gets used casually, I start wondering if the safety briefing is just a post-it note that says, "Don't lick anything glowing." Experts are saying this idea is about as simple as using a leaf blower to reorganize a tornado. Uranium ain't a lost screwdriver in the garage. It's heavily monitored material requiring specialized containment, oversight, and about 1,000 people with clipboards saying, "Please do not improvise." Yet here we are talking about excavators like we're digging for buried moonshine. The real observation is that nuclear policy probably shouldn't sound like a DIY weekend project. If your international diplomacy plan sounds like something you'd see on a reality show called Extreme Home Renovation, Fallout Edition, maybe we ought to double-check the blueprint. Segment 3. Economic fury and wallet pain. Meanwhile, the financial side of this conflict is hitting folks harder than a surprise tax bill taped to your fridge. Sanctions are flying around the global banking system like mosquitoes at a humid cookout, and everybody's pretending the dollar isn't being used like a remote control for the world economy. Energy prices jump, shipping costs climb, groceries start acting like luxury collectibles, and suddenly eggs feel like investment assets. It's gotten so unpredictable that even economists sound like gamblers whispering, "I got a feeling about soybeans this quarter." Supply chains are tighter than a pickle jar your cousin insists he can open with brute force. Underneath the humor is the reality that when oil prices spike, everything else follows like dominoes pushed by a bored cat. Fuel affects transport, transport affects food, and food affects whether Americans start panic buying canned chili like it's currency. Segment 4. USS Hunger Games. While all this is happening overseas, apparently some sailors are eating meals that look like the sad leftovers you find in the back of the fridge labeled "maybe still good." Photos floating around show portions so small, they look like the chef was rationing parsley. Now, I ain't saying every military meal should look like a state fair turkey leg, but when your dinner resembles something served at a diet retreat for squirrels, morale might start slipping faster than soap in a truck stop shower. Congress is now arguing about where the food money went, which is basically the government version of who ate the last slice of pizza. The grounded reality is that logistics win wars just as much as missiles do. History shows armies run on supplies, and when the supply chain gets shaky, even the fanciest aircraft carrier can start feeling like a floating vending machine with everything sold out. Segment 5. No kings and lots of signs. Back home, protests are popping up like weeds after a spring rain, with folks arguing about the war, the economy, and whether anybody actually has a plan or just a collection of bold fonts and press conferences. Millions of people showing up means something bigger than partisan yelling is happening. Public opinion is shifting faster than the weather. 1 minute sunny optimism, next minute thunderstorm of disapproval. When gas prices rise and uncertainty spreads, suddenly everybody becomes an amateur geopolitical analyst at the local diner, explaining global strategy over biscuits and coffee. The serious point hiding under the sarcasm is that domestic stability matters just as much as international strength. If citizens start feeling like the country is being run like a group text, where nobody reads the full message, tensions build fast. Segment 6. Storms, space, and strange normalcy. Even with global drama unfolding, life keeps tossing curveballs like Mother Nature forgot to check the schedule. Severe storms hammer the heartland. Farmers are stressing about planting seasons. And somewhere in the middle of all this chaos, astronauts are casually returning from the moon like that's just another Tuesday. It's wild that humanity can send people around the moon, but still can't predict whether fertilizer prices will make corn cost more than steak. Technology leaps forward while supply chains trip over extension cords, and somehow both realities exist at the same time. The underlying truth is that society keeps moving even when headlines scream crisis. People still go to work, plant crops, argue online, and watch sports while the world's biggest decisions are made by folks who probably also argue about where to eat lunch. In conclusion, the world right now feels like a pressure cooker balanced on a folding table, and everyone keeps bumping the legs. Geopolitics, economics, protests, storms, and space travel are all happening at once, proving once again that reality is stranger than satire. If nothing else, today reminds us that global stability might depend less on loud speeches and more on common sense, cooperation, and maybe somebody double-checking whether the nuclear material plan involves fewer bulldozers.